What is up, everybody? Back with the discography ranking here today. With this one, it's going to be Vane. Really cool band. They came out of that 80s glam metal scene, but if you're not a huge glam fan, I think you might actually like this band if you just like classic hard rock. Even like they have some elements of 60s and 70s psychedelic and a lot of really cool stuff within their music. It's really kind of dark at times, very moody. The atmosphere is cool. The vocals from Davey Vane, the main guy of the band, the founder, it's named after him. He's got a really cool voice, kind of high-pitched at times, very unique, distinctive sound he has. The band, as I said, formed in '86. They've released 7 albums total. And Davey actually produced the first 2 Death Angel albums. He worked with Kirk Hammett on a demo in the mid-'80s. So this guy has some pretty heavy roots as well. You can maybe kind of hear that in some of the music. It's darker, as I said. But 7 albums I'm going to go through here today. And just my opinion as usual. Here we go.
If I had the time, you know I'll be right there for you.
Starting off the list at number 7 is going to have to be On the Line, their 2005 album, and I'll begin by saying I don't think there's a bad album in this bunch, so just because this is at the bottom doesn't mean it's bad by any means. Just it's the one I go back to the least, so it's got to go down here. Still a lot of solid songs on here looking at these. Running on Empty to open it up. It's got a really nice riff, and Davey Vane, I think he's got a super cool, unique voice, but, you know, he's always really good at making really interesting and catchy vocal melodies within, you know, the verses, and especially the choruses are always really catchy, so that's showcased here. Last Sin, I think, is a really cool song, even though it's kind of slower, more ballady. I do think it's pretty solid. Title track's great, and definitely my favorite song on here, Lie for Love. Got a really amazing opening riff. The guitar work on here is really good from Danny West and Jamie Scott. But great guitar playing across all the albums, and this one, you know, good stuff. So On the Line, got to be at number 7 for me. Next up at number 6 is Move On It, their 1994 album. Now this one, there's a lot of kind of funky and psychedelic elements to it. You can tell just from the album cover, the font of the stuff. I think it's pretty cool. I don't usually love that type of stuff, but I think it is blended in here with their normal classic sound very nicely. 11 tracks, Breakdown to open it up has a super cool riff. Whisper is a more mellow track, kind of ballady, but I do dig that one quite a bit as well. Looking at the rest of these, Planets Turning, which was originally recorded for the 91 album, which after they recorded it, that got dropped from the record label, so it didn't come out at the time. Came out years later. I'm going to count that album on this list, but that's a good song. It was on both here. Resurrection's really cool, and Ticket Out of Here is easily my favorite song on this album. Great riff to open it up. Great flowing song. The vocal melodies from Davey are really cool. The freaking solo on this one is majestic and amazing, so check that out. But Move On It, number 6. Coming in at number 5 is Fade, their 1995 album. And this one, much like Move On It, has kind of the psychedelic and funky elements to it. Very similar sounding album as that one. I just slightly prefer this one. And I do really love the production on each of these albums. The sound is really good, crisp. Each instrument you can hear very well. It's mixed great. Davey's vocals are awesome. You know, looking at these songs, there are a couple of them, again, like Holding On is a redone version of the song Holding On for Love from their demo in 1988, which I really like this version. Probably might like it a little bit better than the original, actually. It's a really simple, like, opening little riff. It's like 2 notes, but it doesn't have to be complex to be really good and catchy, and that's really shown here, and the song is just awesome. Shooting Star is another one that was on All Those Strangers, that 91 album I just mentioned previously, which they recorded, then they got dropped from the label, so it didn't come out until like 20 years later almost, but that's a good song. Powder Blue, I think, is awesome. It's kind of slow, builds up, hits the climax in the middle of the song, and the chorus is just awesome. The bass line's really cool. A couple other ones that are standouts, I'd probably go with Can't Get You Back, which has a really cool guitar solo, and Voyeurism, but again, you know, not a bad album at all. My number 5, Fade.
I've seen a lot of pretty faces, some pretty
Next up at number 4 is All Those Strangers, the album that was originally recorded in 1991, but they got dropped from their label, and then the album didn't actually come out until 2010, I believe. But that must have sucked. They had the album recorded. It was being advertised in Japan, and then 91, Island Records, which is what they were on, got bought out by Polygram. So they got dropped, and they weren't able to release it until way later. But a lot of cool songs here. As I mentioned, Shooting Star and Planets Turning did appear on those other albums, but they were originally supposed to be on here, so they're cool. Love Drug's great. Looking at some more of these. Freak Flag is definitely my favorite song. Got a cool opening. The bass line's great. Davy's vocal melodies are so awesome and catchy as usual, and just a great song. Looking Glass is awesome. Here Comes Lonely has one of my favorite solos on this album. So top to bottom, a lot of cool stuff here. If it had come out back in the early 90s when it should have, maybe Vane would have gotten bigger in the US, who knows, but cool stuff here. All Those Strangers, number 4. Coming in at number 3 is Enough Rope from 2011. So pretty modern album here. And of all the 80s glam metal bands to come out of that scene, not too many of them have been able to put out like legitimately solid albums in the modern times. But Vane is absolutely one of the few. Really good album here. And it does have the same lineup as their debut album in 1989, No Respect. The Greener to open it up is fantastic. Great riff. Triple X, a little bit faster pace. Another really cool riff. Hot Stage Lights, this one, pretty dark. The chorus, you can really tell Davey Vane, his voice has held up. But you can say, a lot of people say, like about a lot of the classic guys, oh, he sounds the exact same now. And a lot of times this is not true. But Davey, his voice has legitimately is the exact same. It's held up the exact same, and he sounds great. He's really getting up there in this chorus and sounds awesome. But I could go through the rest. Most of these other songs are really cool as well. The song Vane, Worship Me to close it out, is a really cool solo in that song, and the song's really cool. But great album here, Enough Rope. Give it a listen if you haven't heard it. Number 3.
Don't leave me hanging like a sacrifice. Don't leave me waiting. Need to pay the price for what I did, yeah.
Next up at number 2 is Rolling with the Punches, their most recent album from 2017. Absolutely fantastic. Very, very good from start to finish. I pretty vividly remember listening to this like right after it came out, and I was like, holy shit. A glam metal band that's not Rad or Doc and is putting out something solid here in the modern times. It's possible. Thank you, Vane. Freaking amazing stuff. Davy's voice sounds amazing still here. The title track is fantastic. There is a song from their demo, which they redid, Deliver the Passion, which is one of their best songs of all time. Just amazing. Dark City, this one has a really dark mood and kind of feeling, which a lot of this album does have, which I really enjoy. Looking at the rest of these, Sacrifice, fantastic chorus. Show Your Love, really cool, unique song. Love the riff. The picking is really cool on this one. You got to listen to it. You'll understand what I'm saying. But in the background of the first verse there with Davy's voice, it's a nice melody, and just the background riff is amazing to the song. But great album. Definitely give it a listen if you haven't heard it. Rolling with the Punches, my number 2. And taking the number 1 spot is their debut album, No Respect, from 1989. An absolute classic in glam metal. One of the very best albums from, that movement, in my opinion. Super unique. They've always had a very distinctive sound, I think, and it started right from this debut album. The songs are all killer. Davy's voice is amazing. Everybody in the band is clicking on all cylinders. Great guitar work. Looking at these songs, Secrets, Beat the Bullet, Who's Watching You, all fantastic. 1,000 Degrees is great. My favorite song by them of all time might be Down for the Third Time. Just absolutely amazing intro. The opening of the song is fantastic. Love the guitar. Then it, transitions into great vocals and all of that. But amazing, amazing album here. I've done a top 50 glam metal albums in the past, and this one was in the top 20. Don't remember exactly where I placed it. It might have been closer to like number 10, but one of my favorites of all time from that movement, and it's got to be number 1 here. No Respect, Vain. Great band. That was my ranking of their discography. I listen to these guys all the time, love their sound. Curious to know what you guys think about my list. Give me your ranking of their albums in the comments, and until next time, thank you all for watching.